Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews. Today we are going to take a look at this figure. This is a Stygimoloch, and I would love to be able to tell you who makes this figure, but I don't have any idea at all. This figure is fairly mysterious to me, as it just showed up on eBay a couple of months ago, quite obviously influenced from Jurassic World, Fallen Kingdom, and definitely an attempt to cash in on that film. It is obviously a Jurassic World style Stygimoloch, painted very similar to the one that you actually see in the movie, but it's kind of a mystery as to where it comes from, because it's basically a bootleg, but it's not a bootleg, or at least that's the way it seems to me. You can see all over eBay and Aliexpress that there are just tons and tons of Papo bootleg figures, and a lot of them look exactly the same style paint and everything, but they all claim to be from different brands because they are all bootlegs. This is very similar to the way it's been marketed. There's no real brand name or anything associated to it that I've noticed that states who actually makes this figure. So unfortunately, I have no information whatsoever as to the origins of this Stygimoloch. However, I can tell you that it is actually really quite cool, and whoever did make it did a pretty darn good job. They should step up and say, hey look, I make dinosaur figures, buy my next one. But they're not. So either way, I'm okay with it, as long as they continue to make more, because I definitely dig this figure. But let's get a closer look and you can see how nice it is. So starting up here at the head sculpt, you can see that the entire detailing and sculpting of the head is actually really quite nice, and the paint applied is also pretty darn nice. You can see that there is no real sloppiness or anything, and there is just an incredible amount of detail and sculpt that has actually gone into this figure. It's really quite nicely done. You can see even the detail in the actual beak there. It's got a significant amount of cracks and crevices, looks really good. The tongue on the inside of the mouth is painted fairly well, a pretty nice realistic color. It's a little hard to get in there and see it, as it's a nice very small area, pretty dark, you can't really see too well, but you can trust me, it looks pretty good. You can see the nostrils are sculpted out really quite nicely. Even a slight variation of paint around the nostrils and around the beak area. The eye is sculpted out nice, as is the detail all around the eye. And you can see there's a light coloration around the eye and then a black for the actual eye. Looks quite good as well. And the fact that they have painted all of the little horns and bumps all around the eye and up here onto the head sculpt is again really impressive, because they did a pretty darn good job as far as the painting and everything of this figure. You can see that it's basically a reddish brown, just pretty much the exact same color that you see on the Stygimoloch in the film, and again it has this black coloration all over it, kind of just splotched all over, just patterned all over its head. And up here on the dome you can see all sorts of very nice sculpt and detail that has been included, all kinds of cracks and crevices all throughout the dome, and it's the same deal with the horns and stuff that stick off of the head. Beautiful black coloration is basically a black wash that's been put into it to really bring out the detail, and it's all really painted quite nicely and sculpted very beautifully. So it's a very cool and definitely a very nice looking Stygimoloch that definitely looks very similar to the one that you see in Fallen Kingdom. Coming down the neck, you can see some pretty nice sculpt work here in the neck. Lots of little skin folds and stuff. Beautiful sculpting of the skin. If we get behind the neck here, you can see just how nice that detail and sculpt is. Again, it's that reddish brown type of a color, and you've got that black that's kind of splotched all over the place. Got some very nice osteoderms that come down the side of the body here. And you can see as we come down into the stomach area, there are a few different shades of color included. So they've done a very good job of including different tones as far as the skin color goes, making it look pretty realistic. Coming down into the arms, they're pretty nicely sculpted. Definitely look quite good. Again, the paint looks to be very nice everywhere, really. You can definitely see a seam here where the arm connected to the shoulder area, but it's honestly not a distraction or anything to me. Coming into the stomach, you can see some more very nice detail. Lots of very beautiful sculpting as far as the stomach and skin detail goes. It looks really, really nice. They definitely did a great job on the sculpt. Nicely elaborated hip bone here. You can see as I turn it, get a pretty good idea of the musculature of the thigh. And then we come down here. You can see the knee is sculpted out. Very nice calf muscles. And then coming down into the foot, again the foot, it looks really nice. There's no sloppiness with the way the nails have been painted or anything, which is something that you would expect if this was made by one of those same companies that deal with a lot of bootlegs. So I don't really know who the company is that made this, but they did a very good job. Again, you can see here just some slight variation of color, just changing to really make it look quite realistic. And the sculpting of the tail is really beautiful as well. As we run out the entire length of the tail, that same very nice coloration continues. It looks very natural, very real. It's really applied in a very beautiful way. Looking at the opposing side, again, that head sculpt looks awesome. Looks just like I see in the film. And then coming back to the neck, some more skin folds and some wrinkles here in the skin of the neck. We come down into the arm. Again, you can see that little seam there, but it's not very distracting. Looks okay. Beautiful skin detail as we run back the stomach. It almost appears that maybe you can make out the ribs a little bit. And you can see here, the right leg here is pushing up into the skin, and that's actually pretty nicely sculpted. The way it is reacting to the leg pushing into it, very realistic. So they did a great job paying attention to the minor details. And honestly, whoever did create this really should stand up and just say, look, I did this because I did a good job. They should be commended on making such a nice Stygimoloch figure. You can see again the hip bone there, and the very nice musculature of the thigh coming down. Beautiful sculpt and detail the further down we get. And again, that very nicely sculpted and painted foot with the beautifully painted nails. Coming back up into that tail again. Beautiful sculpting of the skin the whole way out to the end of the tail. The underside is also really nicely sculpted. So there's beautiful detail and sculpt all over the place. The paint applied again, like I said, is very, very nice looking, very natural. It looks like the skin color of the animal and not just paint, so really they did a great job on this Stygimoloch. When I ordered this figure, I actually thought it was going to end up being a little bit small, because it just kind of appeared to be small when it was on the pictures online, and it actually showed up to be quite bigger than I expected. It's really not small. I mean, you can see it here in my hand. It's a pretty good size figure. Definitely much bigger than I expected, especially for being a Stygimoloch, as the one in Fallen Kingdom was quite small. And to give you an idea on the size of it, let's go ahead and measure this Stygi. And you can see it is about 8 3/4 inches, or about 22 centimeters long. And for a height, you are looking at about 4 3/4 inches, or about 12 centimeters. Maybe a tiny hair over 12 centimeters, actually almost on the dot of 12 centimeters. For a size comparison, there is the Papo T-Rex. Now you can see just how big that Stygimoloch is compared to the Rex. It shows you that it is a pretty darn good size, as the Papo Rex is a fairly large figure, but this Stygimoloch is holding his own as far as size goes. He is definitely, you can see he's significantly longer, but you can definitely get a pretty good idea. He's a pretty big figure. So once again, I really don't know too much about this figure. I really have no leads as to who makes it or anything like that. I would love to know, because I'd like to be able to follow that company in the future and see what other figures they will end up releasing, especially if it's more Jurassic Park or Jurassic World style figures. I would love to have updates on their future figures, but unfortunately I have absolutely no information on the makers of this figure. So if any of you out there do know of who might be responsible for this figure, definitely let me know in the comments, because it's something I would love to know, and I would love to search them out and just kind of pay attention to that company for future releases, because really this is a beautiful looking Stygimoloch. Looks very natural, very real, and overall is a very appealing looking figure. And another thing that's honestly really surprising is the size. It's actually really, really light, like super light, unexpectedly light, but at the same time it feels as though it's completely solid. I could be wrong, it may be hollow, but it honestly feels solid, it really does. So I really have no idea, but it is fairly light, I can tell you that. So definitely a very cool Stygimoloch figure that I was super excited to get in the mail. It came from China, so if you do order one, and you're from the United States or somewhere that's not China, it's probably going to take a little bit to get to you, but it honestly only took about 2-3 weeks for it to arrive, and I was really, really super excited to get it, and definitely happy with my purchase. So I will throw a link in the description to where I purchased this guy on Aliexpress. I think he's about $25, but when I ordered it, somehow I got a coupon. I don't even know what it was for, but it just knocked off $5, so I ended up only paying like 20 bucks for it. So I can approve of that price for this figure because it is really quite sizable and it's really nicely done. So like I said, I'll throw a link in the description for you if you do want to order it. Go ahead, buy it if you would like, and please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.